Hello everyone and good morning. Welcome to Let's Do Research with Dr. S. This is Dr. Sarah Namoko and I am your partner in your research journey. This video tutorial is about writing the methodology chapter of a quantitative research in education. But before we are going to go through the details of writing your methodology chapter, we are going to learn first what is methodology. The methodology chapter of your thesis, friends, describes in details. Take note, you describe in details the exact steps that will be undertaken to address your hypothesis or research questions while giving emphasis on those processes and steps that you use throughout your research project, your thesis, or your dissertation. Now, what's the importance of writing a research methodology? Take note, class, that your thesis or chapter will be read by other researchers. They will be read by future researchers. The purpose of writing your methodology is to give your readers sufficient and detailed information about your study to help them replicate your study. In case they want to do the same study, but in different contexts, at least they have idea how you did it in your own study. So how do you write your methodology? First, you begin your methodology chapter by developing an introductory paragraph that describes both the design of your study and how the chapter, your methodology chapter, is organized. And also, it would be helpful if in the introduction part of your methodology, you restate the research objectives that you intend to achieve in your research project. In this way, your readers will be reminded what are the objectives that your research study, your thesis, or your dissertation aims to achieve. Okay? Now, here's another tip that I want you to remember when you write your methodology chapter. Friends, it is important to justify the choice of each method by describing the advantages and disadvantages of each approach while discussing the practical applicability of the chosen approach into your research project. For example, you are using purposive sampling in your thesis or in your dissertation. It's important that you discuss the advantages and the disadvantages of purposive sampling and why you chose it. Justify why you chose it and how you use it in your study. Okay? That's very important. And I hope these tips will help guide you as you write your methodology chapter. Okay? Now, friends, your methodology chapter has different sections. Now, for disclaimer purposes, these suggested sections here are the ones that I have taken from methodology books. It depends on the design or the purpose of your study. You may add some sections or you may omit some sections that are suggested here. What's important is your methodology should be able to answer the research questions that you have identified in your research project. Okay? Okay, now what are these sections? The first one is the research variables. Next, research design and research design validity, research population, research sample, the sampling technique and the sample size, research instrument, data gathering procedures, data analysis, ethical considerations, and the summary of the chapter. Later on, I will be discussing each of them one by one. Okay, for the research variable, it is very important that you indicate the dependent variable, that which you are interested to study about, and the independent variables of your study. Now, if your study has moderating variables or mediating variables, it is also important that you mention them. But if your study has no mediators or moderators, it's alright if there is no mention about them in your methodology section. The next section is your research design. It's important that you describe the research design that you are using in your study. Are you using descriptive or survey research? Are you using correlational research, causal comparative research, experimental or quasi-experimental? Whatever research design that you are using, describe it in your study. Again, tell the readers why you are using it and how you are using it in your study. Also, justify why you choose that particular design. And if you have a figure, please provide it. Next one is the research design validity. Especially if you are doing experimental or quasi-experimental researches or causal comparative researches. Include in your methodology the research design validity. You discuss what are internal and external validity threats that you have identified in your study, and it's important that you tell the readers how you address them in your study so that the design of your research is valid. Okay. Next section of your methodology chapter is the research population, the sample, sampling technique, and the sample size. Now, it's important to tell your readers who are the population, who are they, and why you chose them. Describe the demographic profile such as the age, sex, civil status if necessary, socioeconomic status, academic achievement, depending on the nature and the context and the purpose of your study. And then also tell your readers how you chose the sample. Is it non-random sampling or is it random sampling? And how many samples are there in your study? Next, in your methodology chapter, it's important that you discuss the research instrument. Tell the readers what is the type of research instrument that you are going to administer in your study. And then also tell the readers whether you adopt or adapt the research instrument. If you adopt or adapt it, tell the readers from whom you borrowed the research instrument. And then if you are adapting it, tell the readers what are the sections or what are the things that you modify in that research instrument in the context of your study. Another thing that you have to discuss under the research instrument is the structure of the instrument that you use. What is the structure of what are the contents in question section 1? What are the contents in section 2, section 3, and so on? What are the data that you intend to gather in each of this section? And then what is the scale that you are using? Are you using hedonic scale or are you using Likert scale? If you are using Likert scale, how many points are you using? Are you using the 5-point scale, 7-point scale, or 9-point scale? And whatever scale you are using, tell the readers why. Always support your claim with references and always cite your references. Remember, friends, that references are a gift. Use them in your thesis, in your dissertation, or in your research project. Now, another important thing that you should remember when you under your research instrument is the pilot study of your instrument. The pilot study of your instrument is intended to check the reliability and the validity of your instrument. Friends, if your instrument is not reliable, if it is not valid, then it is presumed that your data is also not reliable. Therefore, your thesis or your dissertation is also not reliable. Okay? So it's important that in your methodology, you have established the reliability and the validity of your research instrument. Another thing that you have to remember under your research instrument is the pre-testing of the instrument. Pre-testing is important because we wanted to check if the readers, if the respondents of your study understand each and every statement of the research questionnaire. Because, friends, if your respondents cannot and do not understand what you intend to ask in your research questionnaire, then it follows that the data that you are gathering are not reliable. They are not valid. Therefore, your findings also is not credible. So that's how important the research instrument section of your methodology is. Okay? Next section is about the data gathering procedures. Explain to your readers what are the procedures, what are the step-by-step procedure that you will take or that you have taken when you gather the data. Are you using the test scores? Are you using survey questionnaires? Are you using interviews, experiment observations, or polls? It depends on the context of your study. What's important is you tell the readers how you collected the data. Okay? Next one is the data analysis. Are you using descriptive statistics or are you using inferential statistics in your study? It's important that you tell your readers what are these techniques that you are using in your methodology. And then another sections in your methodology chapter is the ethical consideration. It's important, friends, that you discuss how the ethical considerations related to your study will be applied and addressed in your research project. And towards the end, it's important that you summarize the key points of your methodology chapter. Now, with these tips that I have shared with you in writing chapter 3 or the methodology chapter of your thesis or dissertation, I'm sure you are off to go with your concept paper and proposal. Good luck. God bless. Now, I want to bring you to the different references that I have used in this study. So, enjoy reading them. By the way, I'm going to create a different video about sampling techniques and determining the sample size. Watch out for them. Again, this is Dr. Sara Namoko, and I am your friend and partner in your research journey. Thank you very much, and bye-bye!